Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, we're on the test server. Thank you, Raid, for giving us test server access. We're able to try out some champions before they're in the game. We're going to be trying out the new Fusion champion. Yes, LONATHARIL. Something I was quite interested about this champion. So Saphira does a load of kind of the background code stuff, looks at multipliers, all that type of stuff. LONATHARIL has actually got a really early player ID. And what that means is he potentially anyway, or most likely, he was created a long time ago and has just never been added to the game. And it might just explain why his kit feels a little bit more basic than some of the kind of newer legendaries that we're seeing today. Anyway, all that aside, let's have a look through his kit. Let's see what he's going to be doing. So this is the Fusion champion that people are going to be going after. And we've been pretty blessed. We've had Helicath recently. We've just had the Walking Tomb Dreng. Both game changers for early game accounts for sure. Going into mid towards late game. So what's this guy going to do? He's an HP-based champion first, so he's easy to keep alive. And he's got pretty good base stats. 23k health, 99 speed, okay defense. He's easy to keep alive if he's built in the right way. We've got an A1, which has got attacks one enemy, decreases a target's max HP. There's a couple of places where this is okay, right? It's really good against Scarab Boss. That's the thing that takes out the Scarab Boss shield. That's really useful. Outside of that, he's good against some faction war bosses, especially the one which heals and then you've got 10 turns to kill it, because you'll actually reduce its max health, and then those 10 turns, it's easier to get the job done within that. Outside of those two areas, honestly, it's not really a skill that we care about very much. The second part's quite good, though. Places a shield equal to 10% of this champion's HP for 2 turns. So you just basically shielding someone with the lowest HP every time he hits with the A1. It's not bad. The A2 is an AoE hit. So we're going to test him for damage first and see what this does. Places a shield on all allies for 3 turns. And it books down to 3 turns. That's significant for Scarab Boss. Outside of that, it's just good. Like, constantly putting shields out is pretty damn good. And also, you can build his HP up quite high. So, 3 turn on a 3-turn cooldown is decent. The second part would have just been way better to be his actual ability. All right? If this was his actual ability, then I think most people will be talking him up a lot more. Because as soon as somebody's dead, the shield becomes 30%. 50% better than it just was, by the way. And it cannot be removed, stolen, spread, anything. Nothing can happen to it. Which means that all of a sudden against Hydra, they can't steal your shields. You know, against Scarab Boss, he can't steal your shield or remove it. And it would just be significantly better. The fact that you have to force somebody to die in your team to activate the best part of his kit is, I mean, it's just pretty poor coding, in my opinion. Pretty poor development. So his A3 then, his A3 gets a crit damage buff on all allies, 30%. I mean, crit damage buff is kind of like, it's weak. If that's crit rate buff, it's way stronger. Yeah, if it's crit rate and crit damage, then yeah, we've got an ability. But just crit damage compared to some of the other ally attack champions, it's not good enough really. But then he teams up with all allies to attack an enemy. So it's a ally attack ability. Good for Arena, good for Hydra, where you've got all your allies attacking. Pretty good clan boss ability. So not bad. On a 4-turn cooldown though, honestly, with only 1 buff, I feel like this should have booked to 3 turns. If it was 2 buffs, I get 4 turns, but 1 buff feels just feels a little bit weak sauce. And then his passive just makes no sense. I'm sorry, it makes no sense. 20% more damage against targets under shield. Okay? So, when you get this going right, no one can steal your shield. Yeah? You're shielding your own team. He's like that. I'm giving you the shields. And by the way, if we're fighting against people with shields, you do more damage. And you're like, dude, why not do more damage when we've got a shield? Makes no sense. This passive, if they change the passive, inflicts 20% more damage or your team inflict 20% more damage if they've got a shield buff. Great passive. If it's mitigates 20% of the damage coming to you if someone's under a shield on your team, great passive. If it's inflicts 20% more damage against targets under shield, it's like, how does that make any sense to his kit? So it's just a bit of a wonky champion, honestly. And because of that, I think he's going to end up being a bit of a Vault Lord. But we are going to test him out, see what he's all about. I'm going to test him specifically on Hydra and Scarab Boss, and then kind of some general content, see what he can do. And firstly, we're going to test his damage. All right then, so it's about as much damage as I'm going to squeeze out of this guy. I've got Savage Gear with crit damage item. We've got 260% crit damage, 105k HP, super slow. This is purely a damage test. He's got Helm Smasher and damage masteries. So I guess really what I want to see is this guy absolutely smack. Otherwise, it's like, damn, what's the point? Now, I can't believe, honestly, with the level of kit, I can't believe his HP aura is not in all battles, but it's not. So it's not going to help us here for damage. It would only help us for Doom Tower. And this is my normal damage setup. So for those people that are going to cry right now, yeah, it's a silly setup. It's not realistic. You can't run it in game, all that sort of type of stuff. But it's what I always do. So it gives me a good feel for, you know, how strong are these champions. So let's just pop someone over there. Okay, so we've got extra crit damage on us. We've got decreased defense and weaken on them. We've got poison on them, poison on us. All of that is giving us damage multipliers. Let's hit with his A1 first against Big Boy Tyrell. Pretty basic A1, 100 odd K. That honestly is not a hard hit. Okay then, we're praying to Iron Jesus here that the A2 has done a smack. This AoE really needs to hit hard. Let's see what we've got. Get the shield as well. 130 to 160. Oh, man. If we're talking hard hits with the type of gear that he's got on there, we're talking 300k plus. Yeah, he is languishing down in, honestly, quite weak territory right there. Okay, then. Last one is going to be the A3, which is an ally attack, so it's not even going to hit. So in terms of damage, this guy is not what it's at, okay? His damage is not what you want to worry about. If you're going to get him built, it's for his utility way more than his damage. Okay, so we changed the build out then, and we're going to go with a build which I think is probably like a best in class here. So I'm going high HP, decent speed. I don't care about accuracy at all. He doesn't need accuracy at all in his kit. Accuracy is just coming in because of it just happens to be on the artifact. I don't want it. Some resistance would be good. And then we've done War Master as our kind of main mastery, and then Defense Tree as a secondary. And what I'm thinking here is basically his spot is going to be Doom Tower. So we're going down to hard. We're going to go straight to level 100. My normal farm team actually is this. Ethos, nukes waves, Euros beats the boss up in about 2 to 3 minutes. If you've already got Euros, I'm struggling to think of a reason why you would fuse this guy. Apart from maybe for Hydra. With the HP in Doom Tower here, I'm going to bring in one bit of food. Somebody's got to die for his A2 to work at its kind of best. So let's bring in one food champion. Ethos to help me clear waves. And let's see how we get on. And this, I think, is his best spot in the game. His kit screams to me that it was made to fight Scarab Boss. So he ends up one-on-one. When he A1s, he gets a shield. If he gets an A2 away, then he will have now a shield that cannot be removed. Not doing it yet. Maybe it's not available yet. Or is he just not doing it? It might be he's just not doing it. Which would be honestly ludicrous. It might be that his AI is coded so that if no one else is on the same team, he does an A2. Because if we put A2 out there with the immovable shield, clearly Scarab Boss is not ripping it off you fella. I mean, it's an easy solo, yeah? It's an easy solo in the gear that I'm running, but I'm running it on the hardest level that you're ever going to face in terms of Doom Tower. So, you know, the fact that it's going to be an easy solo is great. He is removing the Scarab Boss's shield whilst he's doing it. And if you were earlier game, like my free-to-play, for example, I could still put my free-to-play in a lower level set of gear following the same principles, and he would still solo earlier level stuff of Scarab Boss. Yeah, so if you're struggling with Scarab Boss, he is a really good answer to it. But I don't think he's better than Euros, because Euros does a load of damage with poisons and that as well. He doesn't really hit hard enough to break that shield down well. I guess I could have put him with more crit rate and stuff, and it would have been easier. Yeah, maybe it's a bad build or whatever, but honestly, it's still taking quite a while. So I'm going to let it run through, see how long it actually takes. I mean, it's taking a long old time. I mean, maybe it's down to my build here, because I should have put more crit rate into his build. But I've got to say, the more I even think about this dude whilst I'm doing this playtest, the more I think, if you've already got an ally attack champion, you can already beat the Scarab Boss, then I don't feel like he's a champion that I would consider fusing. I really don't. On my free-to-play, I mean, yeah, he would help me with Scarab for sure. But for all the resources that go into getting one of these guys, I just feel like he's so one-dimensional, so aimed at just being a Scarab Boss champion, that, you know, as soon as you start getting Blood Shield gear, they basically do exactly what he's doing himself. You know, as soon as you've got Blood Shield accessories, you can pretty much do this with anyone. The benefit is you're getting the Destroy Max HP thing going on. But we're still talking about, you know, I mean, yeah, the gearing was poor. Probably it's the best part of a 10-minute run if I've geared him better. Maybe 8 minutes I could get it down to if I geared him well. But it's pretty poor. And I can't, the more I'm watching him, the more I'm thinking, like, where do I really get the benefit from him? It's all about his shield. The shield is a decent ability, and his ally attack is a decent ability. But there's loads of alternatives already in the game for that. He just feels like he was meant to be released 18 months ago. And, you know, there's just way better stuff going on in the game now. So, look, I'm not gonna showcase him in loads of content, because I can't really see what benefit he's gonna bring us. I don't see him elsewhere. I think he's one of the worst fusions we've had in a while. So, if you want me to showcase any of the epics and get under the skin of the epics, comment down below which ones do you want to see. And I'll try and get the videos out in the next day or two. Or perhaps I'll do a bit of a showcase of all 4 side by side and see what I think of them. But this guy, for me, I very rarely say skip a fusion. Yeah, I did say it with Pixneal. I stand by it. I said it with Mother Sybil, and perhaps that was a mistake. Maybe we should have fused Mother Sybil. This guy feels pretty skippable to me. I'm certainly not going to go all out in the free-to-play and get him or my main. I'm going to take a bit of a breather and just pick up maybe a couple of the epics that I like the look of. But for me, this guy is... I guess it's difficult, right? Because if they made those couple of changes, if they changed his passive to 20% more damage when you're under a shield, if they changed his A2 to always make it irremovable, then we've got a champion. If they changed his freaking AI so that he at least did his A2 when he's in this environment, yeah, it's just like... Of course, I could force that to happen. But yeah, for me, this guy is one of the worst we've seen for a while. Comment below if you disagree, and I'm not always right, okay? I'm not always right. I hold my hands up to that. But this guy, to me, feels weak sauce. Yeah. Weak sauce. Anyway, I've been Hell Hades. I'll catch you later.